in my head was like, you don't have to do this. You really don't have to do this. My body was shutting down. I realized something really got to change. And I remember in my mind saying goodbye to my parents. Just like being okay with it. Just make sure Mom and Jackie are okay. Make sure they're okay with this, because I'm okay with this.
You know, they talk about us being hopeless individuals, that we just have lost all hope. If you lose your place in life and what you're really supposed to do, you don't really feel like you fit in. You definitely get to the point where you just don't want to go anymore, that you're sick of waking up every day to the same fight. How am I going to get the next one? What am I going to do today to do that? Where am I going to end up today? Where am I going to sleep today? Where am I going to go today? Will I even get through today? You know, like all these things, you wake up and it actually goes through your mind. Like, am I going to make it through this day? And who do I have to hurt to get through this day? High school was just really tough for me. Here's all my friends are out having a good time, hanging out with chicks, and I just didn't feel like I really fit in that high school environment. I hadn't found out who I was, probably because I was a late bloomer, and I just needed that edge. I looked at drugs and alcohol and partying as a way of fitting in. When I discovered opiates and painkillers and something that really kind of gave me that level, it gave me confidence, it gave me swagger, it gave me the powers that I wanted. I loved how oxys made me feel. The oxys they made me comfortable in my own skin, and I could go do anything as long as I was high. Eventually they took away the oxys. I knew there was heroin there. I just was always afraid of it. The thought of heroin was just very scary compared to maybe a Percocet or something. But one thing led to another, and somebody introduced me to the needle.
That's when it got really bad. Ended up homeless. I spent probably about 2 or 3 years on the streets, in and out of jail. I did some pretty decent time in jail. And, at that point I was starting to use an IV use, kind of habit.
I'm at my family's house, and the whole family's there. We're enjoying turkey dinner and everything. But here I am. I'm locked myself in the bathroom. And I'm stabbing myself, trying to get a hit. And I couldn't. And I just couldn't. And, in that moment, I just wanted to die. I remember sitting at the dinner table, and I can literally feel, like, the blood just rolling down my arms because of the damage that I just did in the bathroom. And I looked at my mom, and I was like, you got to take me to the hospital. They end up having to do surgery. They end up having to cut out all the flesh, the dead flesh. I had a MRSA staph infection on my arm, and they were actually worried that I was going to lose my arm. Really, the only thing in my mind at that point was, are they going to give me painkillers for this? Because I feel like shit right now. I get out of surgery, and I got this vacuum on one arm sucking out all the shit out of my arm. I got the IV in this arm, and I'm carrying this stuff to the bathroom to smoke cigarettes and sniff the pills that they're giving to me. I'm being fed my drugs. I'm being fed food. I got a nice comfy bed that goes up and down. My friends are coming to see me, and I'm stacking money from all my prescriptions that I'm not having to use.
And I'm back on the streets again. And at this point, it's, heroin and coke, and I'm speedballing, and I'm not sleeping. That goes on for about 4 to 5 days, but I'm insane, man. I'm absolutely insane on these drugs and this lack of sleep. I end up at one of my friend's house, and I overdose in their bathroom. So they bring me to the ER, and we get into the ER, and at this point, my parents were with me, and I'm like, here I am saying goodbye to my parents. And I remember in my mind just like being okay with it. I was excited to find out what was next. And I kept asking my dad, I'm like, just make sure Mom and Jackie are okay. Make sure they're okay with this, because I'm okay with this.
I was okay with dying. And that's when they did an intervention. They had all the doctors in that wing, in that hospital room, in the ICU. And was I gonna say no? Was I gonna say no? I wasn't gonna say no. I'm in this rehab for 5 days, and I'm receiving, 20 or 30 letters from everybody, encouraging me. And it just felt good. I end up meeting this guy, Don. This man really taught me how to be a man. He taught me a skill. He taught me what it was to provide. Eventually, he helped me move out of the sober house, and I'm getting by on my own. I'm learning how to save money. I'm actually paying back people that I had ripped off. I'm going to meetings, and I meet Kimmy. There was something different about her. She wasn't out there putting on a show for everybody. She accepted me for who I was. I didn't have to pretend to be anything else, which I felt like I went through my entire life. I was always pretending to be something I'm not. And finally, through her, I could just be myself, and it was okay. I can't imagine what I put them throughout all that. I really can't. And I loved my family. I was sick of, putting them through the hell that I was putting them through. I knew it wasn't easy on them. Most of them had written me off, and they were there. My brother and my sister, who had enough of me, their love, put me out here on the island. Put me in a place where there was real help. And in that room, I think I had that God moment, that higher power moment, that moment of hope that I had lacked. I saw that glimmer of light, that little glimmer of light that I grabbed onto, and I never let go. Something came over me where I just felt complete clarity. And in that moment, I made that decision that I was going to give this the best shot. My name is Eddie. I choose hope.